Collide with a military helicopter. Of course, 64 souls on board the plane, 3 soldiers on board that military helicopter, and still so many questions surrounding this incident. But officials in their first update this morning said that really a lot of the focus right now is on the recovery and the rescue efforts that are underway right now. And also some of the family members and loved ones who were here to pick up those passengers at the airport and were unfortunately met with some devastating news. Take a listen to Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority CEO John Potter about what he had to say about those families.
We did have folks who were at the airport to pick up loved ones, and so American has set up a center in their in their lounge at the north end of the airport, and we've directed the families there, and there are folks there counselors there to work with the families. It's a very difficult situation out there with the cold. It's very dark, but there are numerous boats out there. There are dive teams out there.
It's a very difficult situation for everyone around. Of course, those family members, it is difficult to even imagine what they are going through right now. But again, it's kind of set the scene for you here inside Terminal 1 at Reagan National Airport. Outside, you've got the sun. We can see it starting to come up. Getting a better sense of, what it is that crash scene looks like. Inside here, we are getting an update, waiting to get an update from officials here in less than 30 minutes, and we'll be sure to bring the latest to you live. Back to you.
All right. Thank you very much for that report. We appreciate it. All right. We want to get out to Randy Ayala right now. She is out on the scene where she has the backdrop right there where the boats are in the background trying to do as much as they can to try to rescue and recover at this point. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning to you. It was so the Potomac River right behind me. I do want to give you a quick update, though. Things out here changing rapidly. About 5 minutes ago, got an update. Park Police out here. They are going to be closing this area in just a couple of minutes. They are calling this a crime scene now this morning. But you can see, or rather hear, that chopper. It has been circling all morning as search and rescue efforts are underway. I do want to toss it to some sound we got early this morning inside of DCA from Kansas Senator Jerry Moran. It was around 1 o'clock this morning. He was inside the airport. He came from Wichita. He said that he takes that flight often, and he was visibly and understandably heartbroken about what happened here. Take a listen.
This is a very personal circumstance as well as an official response. And again, we will do everything we can to make certain that we're supportive of the rescue efforts.
Dangerfield Island. All right, so that was Kansas Senator Jerry Moran that we heard from early this morning. He actually lobbied American Airlines to add this flight from Wichita to DCA. Again, Dangerfield Island, where I'm standing right now, being called a crime scene. This is coming to us from Park Police. So we'll bring you the very latest when we're able to get back up, guys. I'll send it back to you.
Randy Ayala, thanks for that. Stick with us as this breaking situation near Reagan National Airport continues to develop.
And for updates anytime, just download the WUSA 9 app on your phone. Watch us anytime on the free WUSA 9 Plus streaming app. We'll be right back.
7:10 is the time right now. We're still following breaking news about this plane collision near Reagan National Airport. An American Airlines passenger jet with 64 people on board collided midair with an Army Black Hawk helicopter while landing at Reagan National Airport. It's a live look at the scene right now as hundreds of first responders continue search and rescue efforts. This is a heartbreaking situation that has grabbed national and international attention. We want to walk you through some of the latest reaction from some government officials that have come into our newsroom right now. We'll start here with D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser. Tonight, as our first responders continue their efforts, we are sending our love and prayers to the families, loved ones, and communities who are experiencing loss during this terrible tragedy. Then, President, what a terrible night this has been. God bless you all. That's from True Social. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly. I am aware that a plane inbound from Wichita was involved in a crash at Reagan National Airport. I am actively in contact with authorities. My thoughts go out to those involved, and I will share more information as it becomes available. And then there's this from the mayor of Wichita, Lily Wu, saying that at 12 today, the community will come together for a prayer service for the victims in this crash. Allison and Annie.
You know what? Our thoughts and our prayers are with these real people that were involved with this. 67 people by my count involved with this and into that icy Potomac below as search and rescue continues this morning. And stick with us as this breaking situation near Reagan National Airport continues to develop.
Straight ahead, we are taking you live to the Washington Sailing Marina to see where search and rescue efforts stand at this hour. We'll be right back.
It is 7:14, and if you are just joining us, so we're following major breaking news very close to Reagan National Airport. We can now report that 30 bodies, as gruesome as those details are, and I apologize, the facts are 30 bodies have been pulled now from the Potomac River as an American Airlines passenger jet with 64 people aboard, including that's crew and that's the passengers from Wichita, Kansas, collided midair with an Army Black Hawk helicopter while attempting to land. As the rescue efforts continue, questions are rising this morning about aviation safety. As we take a live look here at the scene, and we can see those boats there on the Potomac helping with those search and rescue efforts. Coming up, we will speak with the fire chief out of Prince George's County, who has the crew members also assisting with these water rescues today. We'll get to that in about 5 minutes or so. But for right now, we want to turn to our Jess Arnold for some more context as far as this topic goes. President Trump, Jess, issuing an executive order just about a week ago related to flight safety. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that's right, Allison. President Trump signed the Keeping America Safe in Aviation order last Tuesday. Now, this order emphasizes the need to hire more Federal Aviation Administration employees. Trump's order instructs the FAA to end DEI hiring practices to accomplish that goal. Now, we've been telling you about pushes by the FAA to hire enough air traffic controllers. In September, the FAA said it reached its hiring goals for the fiscal year by bringing on more than 1,800 new air traffic controllers. The FAA says it's the largest number of hires made in nearly a decade. Now, the shortage of air traffic controllers is one of the reasons we saw local lawmakers pushing back against adding more flights to DCA. It already has the busiest commercial runways in the United States. Last year, there were a couple near misses, close calls that we have reported on as well. Still, we know, though, 5 new nonstop round-trip flight routes were approved for DCA in October as part of the Reauthorization Act. Now, those flights, though, haven't started. They are set to start in March. Guys.
All right, Jess Arnold, thank you so much, Jess. And as we saw in that shot earlier, just want to say the sun is rising on a new day at 7:16 right now, a somber day that will go down in the history books here in Washington. But you're looking at rescue boats there, vehicles trying to make sure that everyone that is in the water is recovered. Now, we know it's been dangerously cold this month. We can just imagine the temperature there in the Potomac River that we're looking at. It was frozen as recently as last week. And Jonathan is with us, of course, and he's here to walk us through the conditions that victims and emergency response crews as well, what they're dealing with right now.
Yeah, and I just want to tell you, this is now 1 minute past sunrise. So things brighter, of course, at the collision scene. So hopefully our responders can get a better view and a better survey of what actually is going on. But the water temperatures are just brutal right now in the Potomac. Of course, our rescuers and first responders do have protection. They've got dry suits likely that they're using for any of the scuba diving or diving rescues that they may be doing, or any of the activity on the water. But still, this is just brutal temperatures. Better than the frozen river waters that we had last week, of course, but still the water temperatures at 36. I saw some video of some police boats had to use their icebreakers to get down to the scene. So the water temperature here at the Potomac River buoy is 36. Buzzard Point, not too far away, is at 42. So again, those temperatures in the water are above freezing, but barely 35 degrees right now. So the winds are calm, and we take a look in the distance down toward DCA. And we do have some mainly clear skies. Just a couple of high clouds coming through. So that's good news for any of the rescues going on, any of the response going on. The winds have really died down. They were up to 50, 60 miles an hour in gusts yesterday, now only at about 3 miles an hour. So aside from the currents and the brutal cold that we're still dealing with, again, for any of the rescue in the water, that in the search that has to be going on, as again we survey the accident situation here that happened yesterday evening, things have really quite improved, especially on the water and in the water. When this happened just prior to 9 p.m. yesterday evening, even there winds were out of the northwest at about 16, gusting to about 25.
7:19 is the time right now. If you're just joining us this morning, we are following some major breaking news at Reagan National Airport. A plane carrying 60 people and 4 crew members crashed in midair with an Army Black Hawk helicopter. And right now, We want to take a moment to hear more about the ongoing search and rescue efforts. And joining us now on the phone is Prince George's County Fire Chief Tiffany Green. Good morning to you, Chief. We know that you are on the way, or your crews rather, you're on the way to a news conference, but your crews are already assisting. But let's back up and talk about when you first got this call about what happened and what's the first thing you do in response to this to assist what was going on in D.C.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having us. So our initial request came from D.C. Fire Department through our normal mutual aid agreement. Is a report of a helicopter crash in the Potomac. Prince George's County Fire and EMS Department responded with 2 water rescue resources, 1 airboat and 1 rescue boat, and our technical resource personnel, about 12 personnel. So we were deployed, and we also deployed a command officer to our unified command post with D.C. Fire Department. So again, it was a dynamic night.
So what are, as far as you know, and of course as the chief you know this, but what are crews doing exactly now? Are they still there on the water? What can you tell us?
Yes, absolutely. So we're still there. Again, this is very much still a rescue mission. We're working together again with our partners in D.C. Fire Department as well as Virginia. And we're still operating in a unified command, still doing an active rescue. And as it gets lighter, again, we're able to see a little bit better now. And the rescue attempt will be a bit more in depth now that we can see.
And Chief, of course, everyone on site is trained to do and respond to situations like this. They have that trained eye. Can you speak or give us a glimpse into the hazardous materials involved and what those challenges are for first responders? I mean, we're talking about jet fuel, debris, murky water, and cold, frigid conditions.
Exactly. You said it all. And again, we're trained for this. So we have deployed our hazmat resource teams as well. Again, our partners in Virginia and District of Columbia have also done the same thing. But our personnel are trained for this. So again, we're in the water. We're being safe, but there are hazardous conditions as well as the water and the conditions of the weather. But we're trained and we're doing the best that we can.
We have been reporting just the united force that we've seen from Maryland, Virginia, and the district here. How important is it that all these jurisdictions work together on when something on this scale happens?
It's extremely important. As you see, and as Chief Donnelly from D.C. Fire Department said earlier at our press conference, it's over 300 responders that were able to come out last night. And it worked seamlessly. Our partners, again, we do what we need to do together when things happen. And this is what's needed in this region, our COG region. We have a mutual aid agreement amongst all of our partners, our fire departments. And when we're needed, we all respond with the appropriate resources with the closest available units. And that's what you saw last night.
Chief, I want to get some of your thoughts. I mean, you've been doing this for so long. Have you ever seen anything like this or anything close to this scale?
The last time I've seen something like this, and again, I've been doing this for over 28 years, would be, again, the 9/11 responses to the Pentagon and those things in this area. And that's why, again, we have our mutual aid agreements, and we're able to work together seamlessly as fire departments in the region, all on the same page. But again, it's horrific. Our hearts and prayers go out to the families as well as the first responders. They operated seamlessly in unideal conditions, and they're working together in a unified command to make sure that we rescue and do everything that we can for the victims.
Absolutely. Even the most trained experts who do this, it's still tough. So we appreciate you spending some time with us, and to all the men and the women who are under your purview who have responded to this tragedy in record time. Okay, I believe, and let us also know that she is on the way, Chief Green, to this news conference is happening in just about 6 or 7 minutes or so. In the meantime, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
We are still following this breaking news after that plane crash near Reagan National Airport, as massive search and rescue efforts are still underway around the Potomac River. What that means for you as you're driving around is that we do have a lot of road closures in place, not only in Arlington around Reagan National Airport, but also in Southwest, really close by to where that search and rescue is underway. So just to remind you, we do have Reagan National Airport completely closed down until at least 11 o'clock this morning. So all roads to connect to Reagan National also closed down. That includes GW Parkway to access Reagan National Airport, as well as Route 1 right around that airport access road. All of those on and off ramps completely closed down right now. And then heading into Southwest, we have Potomac Avenue completely closed, as well as 2nd, 1st, and Half Street, and then V Street to the south, really close by to Audi Field. We'll stay on top of this breaking news for you right after the break.
.30 is the time right now. If you're just joining us, we are following major breaking news at Reagan National Airport. An American Airlines passenger plane from Wichita, Kansas, was involved in a midair collision with an Army Black Hawk helicopter and landed in the Potomac River. This is a live look at the scene right now as hundreds of first responders continue to search and rescue efforts.
We understand there are at least 300 first responders on the scene. We also do have video of that crash, but we want to warn you, it is incredibly hard to watch. Take a look here. If you keep your eyes to the center of your screen, you can see that bright light there coming toward the screen. That is a different aircraft. Right here is where you want to look in the center there. This is the moment that the collision happens midair. There it is, that big fireball, and then they fall into the Potomac River below. This is video from EarthCam. We, of course, have been getting updates all morning long from officials and emergency response crews, but here's what we know so far.
As you mentioned, it's just extremely concerning to see that flight right above when all of this happens. But we're told that 60 passengers and 4 crew members were on board when that American Airlines flight went down. And we can tell you, according to CBS News, 30 bodies have now been recovered from the Potomac River. Right now, we have no reports of any survivors. This mid-air collision happened as that plane was trying to land at Reagan National Airport. That was American Airlines Flight 5342. According to the Associated Press, the helicopter was conducting a training flight, and there were three soldiers on board that Black Hawk.
All right, these are photos of the crash debris, which will be crucial in the investigation. Also, we've been talking all morning long about the situation out at Reagan National Airport because last year, Senator Mark Warner was talking about, was questioning and called for an investigation into could Reagan National handle the capacity that was there. And this came after May 2024. There was a near miss at the airport. That was American Airlines Flight 2134. It was cleared for takeoff at 10:30 in the morning, and another aircraft had been cleared to land at that same intersection. And then earlier, even before then, same airport, Southwest Airlines Flight 2937 and JetBlue Flight 1554. They nearly collided at the airport as well. So
Good morning. I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm the mayor of Washington, D.C. We are here at Reagan National Airport to provide an update on the tragic events of last night. I'm joined by U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, D.C. Fire and EMS Chief John Donnelly, American Airlines CEO Robert Eisen, the MWA, the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority CEO Jack Parter, United States Senator Mark Warner, United States Senator Tim Kaine, U.S. Representative Don Beyer, as well as the Chief of the Metropolitan Police Department, Pamela Smith. And we are joined by first responders from across the Metropolitan Washington region. I speak for all of us when I say, and certainly all Washingtonians, how very sad we are for American Airlines, for the United States Department of Defense, and for all Americans for the loss of life that happened with the collision of these aircrafts. We know that includes families from across our region as well as in Kansas and across the country. This morning we all share in a profound sense of grief. I do want to thank the first responders who acted quickly last night, who ran towards danger, went into a very frigid river, and have worked throughout the night. Chief Donnelly reported in last night's briefing that we have a strong mutual aid agreement in our region, and those teams have worked together throughout the night in really tough and heartbreaking conditions, and we should all thank them for their heroic efforts. So we'll have several updates today. I'm first going to turn to the Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy, and then you will hear directly from Chief John Donnelly with a situational update.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, Sean Duffy here, Secretary of Transportation. We wish we were gathering for different purposes today. I just want to let you know that the Department of Transportation, the FAA, along with the White House, President Trump, local, state, and federal partners, all working together on this incident in unison. I couldn't be prouder of this team that's been assembled, working tirelessly. Mayor, I want to thank you specifically for your work. A few details I'd like to give all of you, and some of you reported this, but last night, if you live in the D.C. area, you would know that this was a clear night last night. The helicopter was in a standard pattern. If you live in the D.C. area, you'll see helicopters up and down the river. This flight pattern is seen oftentimes when you live in D.C. This was a standard flight pattern last night as well. The American Airlines flight coming into land was in a standard flight pattern as it was coming into DCA. So this was not unusual with a military aircraft flying the river and aircraft landing at DCA. And again, if you live in the area, you'll see that frequently with those two aircraft working together. As many of you have reported, we have located the two aircrafts. The fuselage of the American Airlines plane was inverted. It's been located in 3 different sections. It's in about waist deep water. So that recovery is going to go on today as that recovery takes place of the fuselage of the aircraft. NTSB is going to start to analyze that aircraft, partner with the FAA with all of the information we have to get the best results possible for the American people. I would just say that safety is our expectation. Everyone who flies in American skies expects that we fly safely, that when you depart an airport, you get to your destination. That didn't happen last night. And I know that President Trump, his administration, the FAA, the DOT, we will not rest until we have answers for the families and for the flying public. You should be assured that when you fly, you're safe. Thank you. Is that yours?
Thank you, Secretary. Thank you, Mayor. I'm joined today with Fire Chief Bonnet from the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority, and I'm John Donnelly, Chief of the District of Columbia Fire and EMS Department. Last night at 8:48, the control tower sounded an alert, which alerts responders to respond to a report of an aircraft crash on or near the airport. That sets off an immediate response from the Airport Authority Fire Department, from the District of Columbia and Metropolitan Harbor Patrol fire boats and other fire boats on the river in order to support that type of operation. Very quickly, this call escalated. It became apparent, the responders realized that they had a plane crash and immediately escalated to a response that ultimately included about 300 people last night. These responders found extremely frigid conditions. They found heavy wind. They found ice on the water, and they're operated all night in those conditions. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the agencies that responded in addition to DC Fire and EMS and the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority: Montgomery County Fire Department, the Prince George's County Fire Department, the Charles County Fire Department, the Baltimore County Police Department, the Anne Arundel County Fire Department, the Alexandria Fire Department, the Arlington County Fire Department, the Fairfax Fire Department, the Prince William Fire Department, the Baltimore City Police Department, the Maryland State Police, the Maryland Natural Resources Police, the Department of Defense, the Joint Base in Bowling Fire Department and the staff there, the U.S. Army, the U.S. Coast Guard, the United States Park Police, the Metropolitan Police Department, the FBI, and the NTSB. Despite all those efforts, we are now at a point where we are switching from a rescue operation to a recovery operation. At this point, we don't believe there are any survivors from this accident, and we have recovered 27 people from the plane and 1 from the helicopter. The District Office of the Medical Examiner has lead on reuniting these bodies and these people with their loved ones, and we will continue to work to find all the bodies and collect them and reunite them with their loved ones. We should also acknowledge that the Virginia Medical Examiner and the Army Medical Examiner are involved in this operation and a very important part of getting people identified. So.
Our hearts are certainly with all of the crew in American Airlines, and we'll hear from CEO Isom.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. I'm Robert Isom, the CEO of American Airlines. I want to express my sincere condolences for the accident that happened at DCA last night. We're absolutely heartbroken for the family and loved ones of the passengers and crew members, and also for those that were on the military aircraft. Our focus right now is doing everything that we can to support all of those involved and also the PSA Airlines team. This is devastating. We are all hurting. (679) 8215, 1-800-679-8215. And here's what I can share at this early stage. American Eagle Flight 5342, operated by PSA Airlines, traveling from Wichita, Kansas to Reagan National Airport, was involved in an accident just before 9 p.m. local time on final approach into Reagan National. It collided with a military aircraft on an otherwise normal approach, and at this time we don't know why the military aircraft came into the path of the PSA aircraft. Flight 5342, a CRJ 700, was under the command of 4 crew members. They carried 60 passengers, as you know, for a total of 64 people on board. In addition to local resources already here in DC, American Airlines has activated our care team, and that's a group of specialists that are trained to support these types of responses. These team members are on site or arriving soon. And additionally, we have members of our GO team that are on ground here in DC, and they're being deployed with resources to do everything that we can to take care of the needs of the families and the loved ones of the passengers and crew members. And that is our sole focus. And we're so grateful for the first responders. They've been working through the night, courageous efforts. And we're actively working with local, state, and federal authorities on emergency response efforts and closely coordinating with PSA Airlines as they cooperate fully with the NTSB on the investigation. I know that there are many questions. At this early stage, I just won't be able to answer many, but we'll provide additional information as it comes. Thank you.
I want to introduce the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority CEO, Jack Potter. The authority manages Reagan Washington National and Dulles International.
Good morning, and thank you, Mayor. First, let me begin by expressing our condolences for all the victims of this flight and for their families. There's a lot of grieving going on, and so we're very sympathetic to that. I want to echo what was said about the first responders. When there's a problem in this area, everybody drops everything and they rush to wherever the problem is. So I want to thank the chief, the entire team from Washington, D.C., but just as important, the list of folks that the chief described. Federal authorities have been here en masse, and so a lot of effort was brought to bear. Unfortunately, we weren't able to rescue anyone, but we are in the recovery mode right now. And I just want to, last night I expressed the fact that we hope to open at 11 o'clock today, and that is still the case. We're going to open the airport at 11 o'clock. And again, condolences to the families, and thanks to the many, many who are still out there working very, very hard to complete this recovery. Thank you, Mayor.
I do want to acknowledge that the Virginia Transportation Secretary is here, in addition to the Alexandria Mayor, and I will like to ask members of the Virginia congressional delegation to the podium next. U.S. Senator Mark Warner, followed by Tim Kaine and Representative Don Beyer.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to join with everyone else and express my condolences for the victims. For folks who don't live in the DMV, we are made up of a lot of jurisdictions. Reagan Airport's in Virginia. Across the river we have Maryland, obviously the district, but as been indicated by the chief, when tragedy happens, all those distinctions between the various jurisdictions and our federal partners all disappear. And I want to again thank all the first responders. On a personal note, I'll just add that literally I now know I was coming back from the district from a dinner to my home in Old Town Alexandria. And while I did not see the collision, I wondered, I'd never seen this many red lights streaming towards the airport and across the river in Maryland about this time. My phone started blowing up and I realized that this accident had taken place. There'll be a time to figure out, I know NTSB will have a briefing later in the day, but to the victims, our condolences. To the first responders, our thanks.
Sorrow, thanks, and questions. So sorrow, as all have expressed, to the crew, to the passengers, to the soldiers, to their families, to their friends, to their loved ones, to people who are still trying to get information and unsure whether their loved ones have been lost. We offer our profound condolences to them and our sorrow for this tragedy. Thanks. I'll echo, Mayor, what you began with. When you see a challenge like this and you see people from so many different agencies, local, state, federal, with different uniforms, different badges, but working in such a coordinated way, even in the midst of a tragedy, it does give you a sense of appreciation and pride in people's willingness to come to the danger and work together. And I started to see that as a local official 30 years ago in Richmond, and definitely have seen it here. And then finally, questions. There are going to be a lot of questions, obviously, a lot of questions. And that's what the NTSB's job is.